go in chapter 5 today. We're supposed to finish, but I don't think we're going to. None of the other classes did. So we'll see where we get. All right, so we are in the dermis. We left off on Friday talking about fingerprints and the dermal ridges and things like that. And we're going a little bit deeper this time. We're going into the reticular layer. Okay? So the papillary layer is up here at the surface. What type of connective tissue is found in that papillary layer? Areolar or connective tissue. And now we're down in the reticular layer. And what kind of connective tissue do we have down there? Dense, irregular, right? So we have bundles of collagen fibers that are running in all different directions, okay? This makes up 80% of the thickness of the dermis, so it's the majority of the dermis. In this area, we see Pisidian corpuscles. What color are the Pisidian corpuscles on the diagram? Yellow. And I think they look like little onions down at the bottom. Okay, so your yellow onions at the bottom are your Pisidian corpuscles. If they are yellow on the diagram, what does that mean? They're related to what? Yeah, nerves, sensory tissue. Okay, sensory tissue. So, this sensory tissue is deep in the skin at the bottom of the dermis. Okay? So what kind of touch do you think they're going to pick up? Pressure, deep pressure. Okay, so you're going to have to push down pretty hard for those Pisidian corpuscles to pick it up. Okay, our other sensory things we talked about is Merkel discs. They're more for light touch. So you don't have to push down so hard for those Merkel discs to pick it up. Okay? And finally, the last thing on our slide is that we have this dense irregular connective tissue where we have collagen fibers running in all different directions. And there are areas of less dense regions of bundles. So a bundle will be going this direction, and then there'll be a little less dense area, and another bundle will be right underneath it. And these less dense regions are going to form lines of cleavage in the skin. Doesn't that sound like fun? Lines of cleavage. What do you think is going to happen at our lines of cleavage? What does to cleave mean? Actually, it's not pushing together. It's separating. Separating. Okay. So cleavage, we are separating these lines of cleavage. So I want you to think about this question. Okay, think about lines of cleavage. Cleavage areas where things separate. Talk with your people around you, see what you think. Think about surgeons in surgery, where you're going to be cutting through skin. Okay, let me show you a picture. Okay, so these are a diagrammatic view of your lines of cleavage. So this is what they normally look like, and you can't see them because they're in your dermis, right? So they're deep. But the collagen fibers kind of line up, and then you have these little areas that are thinner. Okay. If you cut and make an incision perpendicular to those cleavage lines, so we cut this direction, the collagen fibers that are running this direction are going to pull this way. And so it's going to take more effort to close up that wound. And as it's healing, it's going to want to pull apart. So it's going to take longer to heal. If you instead make an incision parallel to those lines of cleavage, then it will close up kind of on its own. and it won't take as long to kill, and you'll have less scarring because there's less pulling of those collagen fibers. Okay? So, it's important to know this if you're in surgery and you're wanting to make things look nice and neat. Yeah, okay. Okay, skin color. So, there are a couple of different chemicals in our skin that contribute to our skin color. The first one is the obvious one, the one that we know about, melanin. There are different types of melanin that come in different shades, and then we all have different amounts of those melanins, okay? So melanin runs anywhere from a yellow to a red-brown to a darker black color, okay? And so we all produce our specific type of melanin depending on our genetics, and we produce a specific amount of that melanin as well. Melanin's job is to protect the DNA in the skin cells from harmful UV light. So, melanin is like a little umbrella that gets put over the nucleus so that the sunshine can't get to the DNA. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Cool umbrella? Cool. Melanin umbrella? Okay, now, important part is this next sentence. The melanocytes, the cells in your skin that produce melanin, are stimulated to produce melanin during sun exposure. Well, that makes sense, right? When you're out in the sun, you get a sunburn. Yeah. What is actually causing the melanocytes to start producing more melanin is DNA repair mechanisms. So, once the DNA gets damaged, DNA repair mechanisms turn on to come in and edit the DNA and fix it. When those guys come on, you produce more melanin. So, the reason you turn brown when you're in the sunshine is because the sunshine has injured your DNA. Okay, so wear your sunscreen. Pause. Sunscreen is another umbrella, but it's an umbrella you're putting up yourself instead of waiting for your cells to be damaged and then put up their own umbrella. Okay? Alright, so that's melanin. Second is carotene. Carotene is a yellow to orange color. It's found in a lot of vegetables, like carrots. And if you eat enough of them, they will turn you orange. Yes. So, my daughter, she's 2 now, but when she first started eating food, one of her favorite things to eat was bush carrots. And she would eat bush carrots all the time. And she turned orange. I tried to find a picture to show you guys. But she looked like a little orange girl because of all of the carotene deposited in her skin. Like her cheeks were really orange instead of rosy. It was really cute. But probably not the most healthy thing because you need to eat more than carotene in life. Okay, most obviously in adults, you see it in your thicker skin. So in your palms and the soles of your feet, because that's where there's less melanin. So melanin isn't there to cover it up. You can see it better. Okay. Any of y'all turned orange before? You have? You have? Too many carrots? Yeah. Yeah? Good. Okay. And third, finally, is hemoglobin. Where's hemoglobin found? In your blood. And his job is to carry oxygen. Well, oxygenated hemoglobin is red. So if you don't see the melanin, so you have less melanin, you have less of the brown color, what's going to show up is that pinkish hue from your blood. And so people who have a pinkish skin tone, it's actually the hemoglobin of that oxygenated blood underneath your skin. Good stuff, right? Now, all the skin color stuff is fun to talk about, but we can use it also to predict and to diagnose when things are wrong, when things are bad. Okay, so a couple of things that can happen. First is cyanosis, which is this picture up here. You can see the person's fingertips are purpley, okay? So cyanosis is a dark blue or a purple tint to the skin. Usually you see it in extremities first, because that's farther away from the heart. You also see it on mucous membranes, so like on your mouth, the lips will turn blue first. But the dark blue color comes from hemoglobin being poorly oxygenated. So hemoglobin is red when it's carrying oxygen, and then it becomes more bluish when it is deoxygenated. So things that could lead to cyanosis are heart failure. Your heart is no longer pumping blood where it needs to go. Or severe respiratory disorders. So you're not getting the oxygen in to get to the extremities or places it needs to go. Okay? There are some people who have peripheral cyanosis sometimes when it gets really cold. My fingers turn blue when I get really, really cold. Anybody else have that problem? Okay. And so it's a circulatory thing where we just don't, our blood doesn't get to our extremities when we're really cold because we try to keep all our blood in the core to protect our organs, which is good. But then your fingertips get cold and they turn numb and it's hard to do things. And that's why I don't like winter. Okay. Next is redness or erythema, Things that can cause redness: embarrassment, fever, hypertension, polycythemia, inflammation, and allergy. So this is the opposite of cyanosis. You have too much oxygenated blood in the area. Okay, or you're hot. You are increasing the blood supply to the surface to release the heat. Hypertension is high blood pressure. Okay, polycythemia. Anybody know what that one is? It's a high red blood cell count. So you have too many red blood cells. It's the opposite of anemia. So anemia, you have too few red blood cells. Okay, but polycythemia is too many. Okay. Okay, the next one is pallor or blanching. Yeah.
I'm just curious, why do you place the red in here? Like, is all the blood
So it's the rerouting of the blood to that area. Why does it happen? Part of your nervous system and your sympathetic nervous system and your fight or flight. It's just routing blood in different directions. Okay. Is it helpful? Not really. All right. Pallor or blanching is the removal of the blood from the surface. So you're going to be pale, which can be because of anemia. If you don't have enough blood to get everywhere, you're going to keep it from going to the surface. Low blood pressure, emotional stress, and then fever and anger. That's fear. Fear and anger. Okay, and those with the fear and emotional stress and anger, again, it's rerouting the blood. And in this instance, it does make sense because your body is rerouting the blood instead of from your surface. You're rerouting it to areas like your muscles so that you can run away really fast. Okay, so it's part of that fight or flight response. If you're stressed or you get really scared, you get pale, you get white as a sheet because the blood is running out your face. Okay, jaundice. There's a picture over there of jaundice. Is a yellowing first of the skin, but then the whites of your eyes can also turn yellow. That's where it's going a little too far. Can be caused by liver disorders, which cause an accumulation of yellow bile pigments. So we'll talk about bile later, but it has to do with your blood being broken down and getting rid of waste. Okay, but your liver is not functioning properly if you turn yellow. Bronzing. It's what it sounds like. Your skin turns bronze. Okay, color. So you get a darker brown color. That is a clue that the person probably has Addison's disease, which is a malfunctioning adrenal cortex or adrenal gland. So hypofunction, it's not working like it should. Okay, it's underfunctioning. And then finally, I know this one is just going to surprise all of you. Lack of blue marks are bruises. Okay. What causes that is the blood has escaped the circulatory system and clotted beneath the skin. So another name for a bruise is a hematoma. Okay, but it's just that collection of blood that's clotted under the skin. Okay, so skin can be a good predictive indicator when we are diagnosing things. All right. Now, so we've gotten through the epidermis, we've gotten through the dermis. So we talked about the skin itself. Now we're going to go on to what we call skin appendages. Doesn't that sound like fun? It sounds like you've got like arms sticking out of your skin. Okay, but these are going to be those other things that are mixed in with the skin in our model over there. Okay, so first are sweat glands. Sweat glands are also known as eccrine or American glands. They produce sweat, right. So 99% of sweat is water. There's also sodium chloride or salt that comes out, and some waste and lactic acid come out as well. Okay, but the majority of it is just water. The purpose of sweat glands is to prevent body overheating, so it cools you through that evaporative cooling. It brings heat away as it evaporates. And remember from our picture, the sweat glands open up at sweat pores. So not at the hair, just in sweat pores that are located over our entire skin surface. There's a lot of them in the palms of our hands, the soles of our feet, and our forehead. Okay? If you are sweating because you are hot, it usually starts at your forehead and it works your way down. If you are sweating because you are stressed and anxious, it usually starts at your palms and works your way up. So it just depends on the source of the stress as to which areas are going to be activated first. Okay? There are another type of sweat glands which aren't in our notes, that are in your book, that are found deeper in the dermis than these guys are. And instead of producing a watery liquid, they produce a milky, yellowy, white liquid. And those are found in your armpits. Okay? Those are the ones that make you think. Okay. Our next appendage are the sebaceous glands, the oil glands. And these are always found associated with a hair. Okay? We say that they produce sebum. Okay? And the sebum is just an oily substance. It's secreted into the hair follicle to lubricate the hair. It also lubricates the skin. And something cool about the sebum is it's also bactericidal. So it can also kill bacteria. So you're putting a coating on your skin that kills the bacteria that are trying to get in. All right. Acne. Fun stuff, right? Acne is an active inflammation of these sebaceous glands. So sebum gets stuck in the gland, and then it becomes inflamed. Okay. And we'll look at a picture of that on the next slide. And finally, the glands are located all over your body, except on your palms and your soles of your feet. Why? What is it made of? Hair, for the thick skin, right? So, no sebaceous glands because you have no hairs for the sebaceous glands to live with. All right. Homeostatic imbalances. We are going to see these types of slides show up a lot at the end of our sections. But homeostatic imbalances are talking about things that can go wrong with the system we just talked about. Okay? So homeostatic imbalances with sebaceous glands. Acne. We already kind of talked about that the sebum, that oily substance, gets stuck at the top of the sebaceous gland and closes it up. If it remains covered, if there's still a little bit of skin over the top, it remains as a whitehead. If it gets exposed to the air, that sebum will become oxidized, and you end up with a blackhead. Okay, and the pores that form these blackheads, the pores that form the whiteheads, are the little openings where your tiny little hairs come out. Okay, so that's the area. Okay, so we have acne from like puberty on. Then in babies, there's something called seborrhea, where the sebaceous glands on the head overproduce that oily substance, which then dries and flakes off, and you end up with what we call cradle cap. But it looks kind of gross. It looks like the baby's heads are flaking and all dandruffy. Okay, but it's those sebaceous glands being overproductive. Okay, it's the same thing as dandruff in adults. So dandruff in adults is also overproductive sebaceous glands, which then the sebum dries and it flakes off. Okay. All right. So sebaceous glands. Questions? Okay. Then we will move on to hairs. Okay. So let's get into some parts. Some hair follicle parts. So first of all, there is the hair shaft, which is what extends above the surface. And then once we get below the surface, we have the hair root, which will grow underneath the skin. Okay, the hair follicle is this area that's going to be surrounding that hair root. And when it enlarges down here at the bottom, it's the hair bulb. Okay, so think of it like a bulb for a plant, like daffodils. Daffodils are bulbs. So you've got that large root down at the bottom. Okay? Same thing with our hairs. Okay, other parts, we have our hair root plexus. What does the hair root plexus look like on our diagram? This yellow line right here that's attached to the hair root. Okay. It's yellow, so it's nervous system. So there are 3 nerve endings that are attached to the hair root. And then bending of the hair will stimulate that little hair root plexus. It's send information to your brain. Okay, so you know if somebody touches you gently and they rub those little hairs, if that hair root plexus is picking it up. Okay? So your hair itself can act as a touch receptor. So somebody, you can feel that touch without it actually having to put pressure on your skin itself. It can just be the hair. Okay? And that happens on your body hair, but also like your hair here. You can pull back and feel that your hair is being pulled, okay, because of that hair root plexus. Okay. Now, a little bit more. Okay, some more hair follicle parts. The hair papilla is down here at the bottom of the bulb. Okay? It's this area right here at the bottom. And it's a papilla of the dermis. So it's the dermis coming up into the bottom of that hair root. Okay? Remember that the dermis is vascularized because we are connective tissue. So we are going to bring in capillaries to that hair root through that papilla. Okay? So the papilla provides the nutrients and it signals the hair to grow. As long as you have an active, good papilla there, you're probably going to have hair that grows. If something happens to damage that papilla, you're losing your blood supply to that hair, and you're losing those signals for the hair to continue to grow. So if you permanently damage the papilla, you're going to lose hair in that area. Okay? Then we also have the hair matrix, which is the layer right on top. It's kind of hard to see. My marker isn't working right here. But it's these purple cells right here on top of that hair papilla. And the matrix is the cells that are actively dividing to produce hair. So it's kind of like that basal layer of the skin. So that's one cell layer thick, and those cells are continuously dividing and pushing the other cells up. The cells here in the matrix are continually dividing and pushing the hair longer and longer. I say continually. There are rotations, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, so they divide and push the other cells up and make the hair grow longer. Okay. Any questions? All right. Now, zooming out a little bit, we have our erector pili muscle. Goes right here. Okay. His job is to contract, and he moves the hair. So he can make the hair stand on end, which gives you your goosebumps. He does that when it's cold, help warm you up, because the contraction of the muscle will create heat. You're also creating a little blanket of air there that can help insulate. He also, it doesn't say it on our list here, but he also squeezes that sebaceous gland. So he squeezes the sebaceous gland, which helps push the sebum out onto the hair. All right, so erector pili muscle. Okay, so what does our hair do for us? It senses insects on the surface, so if a little mosquito lands on you, your hair can sense that, and the hair root plexus sends information to your brain, and you know to swat it off. It helps guard your head against trauma, heat loss, and sunlight, so the hair on your head keeps you from getting sunburnt on your head. It also gives cushioning for things when they hit you on the head. Your hair insulates a little bit. Your eyelashes shield your eyes to keep things from getting inside of them. Your nose hairs trap things in them to keep your respiratory system clean. Your eyebrows keep your sweat from falling into your eyeballs. And then our major regions of our hair is the hair shaft up here above the surface, the hair root, which is below the surface, and the bulb is the enlargement at the bottom. Just as a side note, it's not in your notes and it's not important, but whether you have curly hair or straight hair or wavy hair is determined by the shape of the hair shaft itself. So if you have nice round circular hair shaft, you have straight hair. If you have more of an oval shape, you have more wavy hair. And then the flatter you get, the curlier and kinkier your hair gets. Okay, so texture comes from the shape there of the hair shaft, which is genetically determined. Okay. Now, hair pigment is made by melanocytes, which are found down here in the root bulb. Okay. Our different colors, mixtures of melanins can give you a blonde to a black color. Okay, so just a variety of the melanin itself. Red is different. Trichocitrin is the pigment for red. And then as you age and you get older, your cells stop producing as much melanin, and you end up with air bubbles in the cells instead of melanin, which will give you a gray to white color instead. Okay, hair distribution. All of your thin skin has hair on it. So that includes everything except for your palms of your hands, the soles of your feet. That's where you have thick skin. We also don't have hair on the lips, nipples, or external genitalia. Okay? At puberty, we have the influence of now terminal hair, which is the coarser, darker hair that comes with puberty. Terminal hair will begin to grow in your axillary region. Where's your axillary region? Armpits. That's right. Good job. You remember your regions. And your pubic regions. Okay, I'm not going to ask you to stand up and point those out. Okay, but the pubic regions also have this coarse hair that begins in both sexes. Okay, and then androgens, which are found more in males, it's like testosterone, will give you extra terminal hair on your face, on your chest, and on your arms and legs. Okay, so because men have testosterone, they're going to be the ones who have the terminal hair in those locations. Okay. Growth and density. Okay, so follicles, individual hair follicles, Okay, so it's the individual bottom of each hair goes through growth cycles. So they turn on and they will divide, and the hair will grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And then those cells in the matrix will turn off, and they'll stop dividing, and you've reached your maximum length. Okay. Then that hair will fall out as a new hair begins to grow underneath it. In your hair usually has a growth cycle of multiple months. So hairs will grow for months on end. Whereas other areas like your eyebrows only turn on for like a couple of weeks. And that's why they're shorter, because they don't have as long to grow. Okay? So there's a limit to the growth. How a hair grows is determined by nutrition and hormones. So they play a big role. Making sure you have enough protein to make the cells. Because these are keratinized cells, like you see in your skin. So we have a lot of protein there to make keratin. We already talked about how hormones influence. Testosterone gives you more of those terminal hairs. Okay. We also get more hair growth with enhanced dermal blood flow. Remember that dermal papillae, the little indentation at the bottom of the hair root, where the hair nutrition is coming from? That's your blood flow. So we want to increase the blood flow. Will give you increased growth. Okay. We're almost there, right? We've got 1 minute. Okay, yeah. Why does your hair grow more when a cast is on? I don't know. I didn't know your hair grew more when a cast was on. Do you want to look that up and bring it to us next time and tell us why? Sure. Okay. That's interesting. I would like to know that. Well, since that was our last minute, we'll stop here. So we will pick up here with balding on Wednesday, and we'll finish that and start the next chapter.